Okay, welcome back to another episode or another segment of Real Women, Real Leaders, Real Talk. I am your host and coach, Tracey Knight, and super excited today. I'm not going to be on here long. All week long, we've been talking about what it means to be stuck and how that really impacts your life. And, so often we're in the grind of things and we're in the hustle of things and we're in the routine of everything. And, you know, things can seem like you're hitting things heel to toe, heel to toe, heel to toe, and you're just making it happen every single day. And then one day you wake up and you feel like you are completely in a rut in your life, and you may not be able to figure out when you got into the rut, but it was the constant um, absence of all the things that influence you and impact you, including other people's expectations. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. You can check out some of the other segments that I did this week where I talked about how fears can keep you stuck. I talked about the mindset keeping you stuck. I've talked about denial keeping you stuck. There's so many things that can keep us stuck in relationships, keep us stuck in the job, keep us from excelling or becoming the fullest expression of ourselves. And so if you really want to push past your limits to become the woman that you are intended to be, it's super important that you become aware of the things that could actually be keeping you stuck, and then apply some of the practices that I'm giving you in order to move beyond that. Today, what I'm going to talk about is others' expectations, and I can definitely relate to this. And in fact, something happened yesterday that spawned this topic. So I want you to think about, is there a person in your life who you've always either looked up to, or maybe they have just been a powerful influence? They don't have to have been a positive influence in your life. They may have been someone whose approval that you just sought. You sought out. It could be, you could track it as far back as your parents. I would say that my dad was one of those people that I really sought approval from throughout my life. And, as little girls, the first person that you love in your life, the first man that you love in your life is your dad. So it's very common for especially women or just children in general to seek the approval of one or more of their parents. So parents could be one of them. But the other thing is, as we move along, sometimes it's friends that you want approval of or approval from. Sometimes it's a supervisor that you want approval from. This thing goes big. Sometimes it's your spouse. It can be your in-laws. It can be so many people that we end up wanting approval from. And what happens is we start guiding everything that we do by what they think or what they believe as being acceptable. The example I want to use here, in my own life, my dad has a certain expectation of what beauty is. He also has a certain expectation just based on his own experiences of what professionalism is, of what is acceptable in society. Now, I'm very clear that my dad loves me. I'm very clear about that. However, what I understand also is that his belief around what is acceptable, whether it be beauty or professionalism or what success is based on his own experiences, not my experiences. He is 80 some odd years old. He has come through life and has had to endure certain circumstances that were relevant to that era and that time. And that formed his belief systems around what would cause you to win in life. So he's taken those beliefs like most parents do, and then they parent you from that position. So they don't want you to fail. They don't want you to be alone. They don't want you to be homeless or poor. They want you to win at life. Parents want us typically to win at life. And so sometimes they get very afraid and scared that if you don't follow the same rules that maybe they had followed, even though, let's keep this real, for some of them, those rules didn't work for them either. However, it's all that they know. And so now they are sort of superimposing those beliefs on you. But no matter, it doesn't really matter whether or not they superimpose their beliefs and they guide you and they give you feedback and they give you insight based on that context. The real question is, how much of it do you accept? How much of it do you allow to get into you? And so for years, for me, as I, talk about this subject of really leading your life or guiding your life and guiding your decisions by what other people think that you should do, be, and have, that can inform all of the decisions that you have in your life, the people that you marry, the type of career that you have, what you see as wealth or success, or what you see as a failure. You can marry people that maybe are only meet a certain social class, even though you may not love them in the same way that somebody else who doesn't meet a certain social class. So it'll cause you to pass on love when really you wanted somebody who was a divine match for you, but you passed on them to connect yourself or to marry or be in relationship with somebody that just meets a social norm. So quite often our parents' expectations of what is right, what is good, what is acceptable, what is approved of can guide our decisions. I would say for me, that has been a very big influence in my life. What I saw as beauty, what I saw as being slender, for my dad, he wanted me to always have a mate, so in his mind, he grew up in an era where there was Twiggy and people were look like this. And so, in his mind, he's communicating to me that that is what a man wants. Well, that put me in the mindset that I always needed to lose weight. I always needed to lose weight in order to be acceptable, in order to have a mate. And the reality of it is, first of all, it's not the truth. It's not the truth, because men love women of all shapes and sizes, because what a person is truly falling in love with, when a person is authentic, when a person is truly connected with you, they're connecting with your soul. They're connecting with your spirit. They're not just connecting with the physiological body. And so when we attract people who do only want our physiological body, it is the byproduct of us believing that all that we're worth is that physiological beauty. So in other words, you can't attract a high vibration relationship, somebody who loves and accepts you for who you are, if you don't accept and love yourself for who you are. So naturally, if you have a belief system that you must be or do certain things in order to be attractive, then you're only going to attract people who validate that for you. The same is true if we're applying that to the workplace. If you believe that in order for you to be acceptable in the workplace, to be a contributor to the workplace, to be a valued asset in the workplace, is for you to work 18 hours a day and to always be constantly proving yourself, you're going to attract a supervisor or a team that allows you to do that or pushes you to do that. Because you can't attract a high vibration experience from a low vibration source. If you're in a low vibration place, you're going to attract low vibration experiences. So it's so important for us to be clear and solid around who we are, what we define as beauty, as success, as love, what it is that we want, opposed to allowing societal norms and other people's expectations to drive us to make decisions that may not be what we want. This can cause you to marry people you don't even really, you might like them, you might even love them, but in terms of being in love with them and really feeling connected with that person to be able to spend a life with, this can cause you to make so many dysfunctional decisions. And then you wake up one day wondering, how did you ever get here? And you can trace it all the way back to you allowing somebody else to guide your decision making based on their expectations. And guess where their expectations came from? Their expectations came from their own belief systems. And if you look closely, it didn't even work for their life. So, action item for today is to check in with yourself. See where you might be allowing yourself to be guided, to be influenced, negatively influenced by other people's expectations. That might include societal norms of what you have to have in order to deem yourself as successful. Who do you feel like you have to show up as in order to be seen and viewed as successful? So I really want you to check in with yourself to see where that may be showing up. Are you chasing money because you believe that that will cause you to feel whole. It will cause you to feel like you're wealthy. But I can tell you right now, worth doesn't come from that. Worth is your ability to manage and multiply the asset, the full asset. You are the asset. So your ability to manage and multiply the true essence of who you are is what creates your sense of worth. It's what creates your sense of confidence. But if you don't value this, all of what this is, all that this brings, then your worth is going to be low. And I don't care how much you pour into yourself, how much other people pour into you, until you see the true value of who you are, you will always be stuck. So that's it for today. I'm Coach Tracey Knight. I want to remind you to go over to my YouTube channel where you can subscribe and hear some of the other videos that I've already recorded that's teaching you how to manage and master yourself in the game of life. Remember that today is the day that we take back, transform, and win at the game of life. I'll be back again with you soon.